Hi, in this video, I would like to show you a sample of single-family homes that you are not supposed to know about. They are hidden in plain sight, not in Hollywood, not in the French Riviera, but in Judea and Samaria. I was recently in Jerusalem, where I met a tourist who came back from an organized tour in Judea and Samaria. My impression from listening to her was that the purpose of the tour was to make the participants angry at Israel. She was fed lies upon lies about Israeli occupation, apartheid, and human rights violations. When I showed her photos of the homes you see here, she was very surprised because it didn't match the image of poverty and brutality that she formed in her mind during the day-long tour. Her first reaction was that those photos must be fake. But they are not fake and easy to find online. Not shown here, those homes are not only impressive on the outside, but also on the inside. Online, you can see crystal chandeliers, Italian marble, Persian rugs, and much more. Some of them have collections of art and cars that can fill up a museum. And I wouldn't be at least surprised if those owners also own vacation homes, yacht, planes, and so on. If you ask what the owners of those homes do for a living, you'll run into a problem because there is nothing in Judea and Samaria that can generate enough funds for this type of lifestyle. Yet, here it is. So, where are the funds coming from? According to the owners, the funds come from doing philanthropy. In case you don't know, philanthropy means soliciting donations for specific needy cause, which begs the question, what is the needy cause? And what are the funds actually used for? Here it becomes complicated because this fake philanthropy operation could be the most sophisticated web of exploitation in the history of human civilization. The owners of those homes run the Palestinian Council, the Palestinian Authority, the UN Relief and Work Agency, referred to as UNRWA, and in part the UN Human Rights Council. The needy cause they are philanthropizing for is the fake refugees who are the Muslim illegal squatters of Judea and Samaria called Palestinians. Their job is to present the so-called Palestinians as victims of occupation, apartheid, and Israeli brutality, when in reality they are laughing all the way to the bank. They preach for the elimination of Israel as a Jewish state, but should this become true, they would be out of a job. In other words, what they say doesn't match what they do. What they really do is exploiting you with propaganda and their own people with indoctrination. They created a vicious cycle where you, the taxpayer in developed countries, feel sympathy for the victims of Judea and Samaria, making it urgent for the UN to fund them, while the people you believe you fund are merely being used for the sake of fundraising. If you are confused, you're not alone. You are meant to be confused because when you are confused, you become open to propaganda and consequently empty your pockets. This multi-billion enterprise, so-called philanthropy, has been going on since the 1960s, and by now it reached a level of complication that we may not be able to unravel anytime soon. Judea and Samaria may be the only place in the world where illegal squatters made being victims a full-time job. They are professional victims who are paid to be fake victims, and you are made to believe that they are victims of Israel in order to keep the funds coming in. A primary funding agency made possible by your government, for which you receive no tax deduction, is UNRWA, the UN Relief and Work Agency. This agency, that was created 70 years ago to assist refugees of wars in the Middle East, is now funding a third generation of fake refugees. The Palestinian Council, the anti-Semitic umbrella organization that oversees the fake philanthropy operation, has been filling up all vacant positions in this agency and now has 100% control over it. This is definitely not what you find as dictionary definition of philanthropy. Believing that you are paying for the education of children refugees, you have been paying for the production of anti-Semitic textbooks in Judea and Samaria schools for the past 70 years. After teaching anti-Semitism to 3 generations, a handful of UNRWA teachers were recently fired for teaching anti-Semitism simply in order to appease you because they were caught in the act. The teachers took the fall while the indoctrination system still remains intact. Here is an example of what children learn in Judea and Samaria schools, taken straight from the Quran. Take not the infidels for friends. Fight them until religion is all for Allah. Fight against those who have been given the scriptures, who believe not in Allah. In case you don't know, the infidels who don't believe in Allah are not only the Jews, although the Jews are spelled specifically as enemies of Islam. Qatar, the richest country in the Middle East, has been threatening to hike oil prices in the world if UNRWA is shut down. But now that the price of oil is at its highest hike anyway, an important question to ask is, are we ready to shut UNRWA down? Or are we going to continue funding the indoctrination of the next generation of fake refugees? Next to the list of homeowners are the administrators of the Palestinian Authority, which is the entity that governs the Muslim population in Judea and Samaria. It is also a member organization of the Palestinian Council, from where it gets its funds. The funds originate from Qatar, but it's the Palestinian Council that decides how to distribute the funds, and those decisions depend on loyalty and dedication to the jihad war. In case you don't know, jihad is the advancement of Islam in the world, stemming from the Quran, to include the elimination of the Islam infidels and sworn enemies. As such, the Palestinian Authority, preaching for peace with Israel, is the wolf that guards the chicken coop, because it is the entity that is responsible for the anti-Semitic indoctrination of children that are under its authority. This is what it has been receiving the funds for from the Palestinian Council, and this is what facilitates the lavish lifestyle of the people who run it. As for the UN Human Rights Council, the Palestinian Council is now in 60% control of it, primarily due to internal politics, which is good enough in order to generate a majority vote in order to bash Israel. This was not the case when the UN was created, but today the Palestinian Council has been using the majority vote at the UN to legitimate their lies about Israel. The higher the vote count, the greater the belief in the lies and consequently the ability to collect funds. It is gravely concerning, to say the least, that the UN became an anti-Semitic tragic comedy where the fake philanthropists laugh all the way to the bank. If you didn't know, now you know.